Hello everyone, welcome to my channel on understanding finance and sports. Today we are going to talk about legalized sports betting. Now, before we start the main presentation, I want to emphasize that betting on sports is gambling. And please note that I am not in any way advocating or promoting betting on sports or any form of betting at all. Betting is gambling and can lead to financial ruin and is therefore to be avoided. So my personal advice to anyone is to stay away from betting and gambling of any kind. So having said that, it's a fact that the sports betting industry exists in a big way and that it has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's a fact. It exists. Sports betting shops and betting stalls are now even found inside the sports stadiums while the event or the matches are going on. Sports betting and gambling companies are now also involved in sports sponsorship, as we shall see later. Obviously, with the blessings of the sports administrators, who see this as another source of commercial revenue. I am therefore covering sports betting for educational purposes only, as this is now very much a part of the sports finance industry. And I'm covering only legalized sports betting. The illegal sports market is many times even bigger than the legalized sports betting market. So what exactly is sports betting? Sports betting is gambling. It's gambling money on the outcome of a professional game or on the outcome of part of a game. You can also bet on the outcome of a league or of a series. For example, you can bet that Arsenal will win the Premiership next year or that Brazil will win the 2022 Football World Cup. Those are bets that you can place even today. You can also bet on the outcome of part of a game. For example, that Messi will score the first goal of the match, or that the halftime score will be 0-0 or 2-1. Nowadays, you can pretty much bet on any aspect of a sports game. And if the odds for your bet don't exist, then the bookies will probably create the odds for you to bet on your preferred outcome. Okay, let's look at some history of legalized sports betting. Now, sports betting has been around for as long as sports have existed. Sports gambling takes a favorite pastime, that is sports, and makes it even more attractive by adding a personal stake in the outcome, and that is your bet, your gamble. Sports betting is therefore very emotionally attractive and it is also very addictive. So if you bet on your team to win, then apart from wanting your team to win anyway, you will now make money if the team wins and lose money if the team loses. So you've got a lot at stake in that game than simply being a fan. Now, the first records of sports betting dates back over 2000 years. The Greeks loved the sports and it led them to introduce Olympics to the world. And the earliest records of sports betting also emanate from the Greek games of that time. So sports betting originated with the ancient Greeks and then expanded to ancient Rome, where it was eventually recognized and even legalized. Now, the Romans bet on gladiator fights and chariot racing in particular. And even when these ancient sports disappeared, gambling stayed on and grew and grew and expanded to other areas of the globe. And there are a number of Hollywood movies where they show gambling taking place during the annual Roman sporting contests in the Colosseum. Ben-Hur is one such movie. During the Middle Ages, some religious leaders attempted to pass laws to try and prohibit gambling. As a result, sports betting was forced to go underground and operate in an unregulated and a parallel market, where it thrived and even expanded as new sporting events and betting opportunities were introduced into the world of sports. And over the years, gambling became very popular in England, and in sports, betting on horse races became especially popular. The English spread the practice of gambling and betting on horses to the rest of the world, particularly to the USA, where it eventually became quite a favorite pastime for many people. And gambling continued to grow and grow worldwide and is extremely popular today, especially throughout Europe, which has become the biggest sports betting market. And an expansion in the number of sports events that people can bet on has also helped to improve the popularity of sports betting. Today, one can bet on a wide variety of sports and sporting events. One can even bet on what may happen or not happen during an event, and there are hundreds of possibilities that one can bet on. Sports betting is no longer just a fun activity or a pastime. It is now a serious multi-billion-dollar business generating huge profits for sports books and casinos worldwide. Now, in the 1950s, Las Vegas legalized sports betting in their land-based casinos, making it appear legitimate in the eyes of many. So because it was legalized, I guess people thought it's fine. There's nothing wrong in this. The problem at that time was that you had to still walk into a casino to place your bet. If you weren't close to Las Vegas, you were out of luck if you wanted to place a bet. So it was only legal in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas sports books handle billions of dollars in business every year. But that's only a small percentage of the total amount that is bet in the United States. Much more betting volume is handled illegally by the local bookies and by the offshore bookmakers. And for years, the majority of sports bets in the United States were placed with local illegal bookies who were actually ignored by law enforcement agencies for the most part. Now let's have a look at the growth in online sports betting. No other single factor has increased the growth of sports betting more than the advent of the internet. Before the internet, sports betting, although popular, was nowhere near as widespread as it is today. With the internet, people can place bets anytime from anywhere on any device. And no longer is there a need to visit a bookmaker to place your bets or even attend the sporting events yourself in order to enjoy sports betting. From the comfort of your couch, you can now place bets as you watch the events live on your TV. As a result, sports betting has exploded and continues to grow year after year. With online betting, you can also see betting lines change. And this means that you can find the best betting opportunities as the event is taking place in front of you. And this is especially true when you're betting on live sporting events. It's now possible to bet on practically any major sports event in the world, especially if it's being televised. Let's have a look at the size of the sports betting industry. Many countries participate in and have allowed legal sports betting, one of the more recent being the US in 2018. The global sports betting industry reached a market size of over $200 billion in 2020. Within this industry, there were approximately 200,000 employees in a total of almost 31,000 businesses worldwide. Wow, that's a large number of companies that are involved in sports betting or providing sports betting. Now, the online betting market is growing at roughly 12% per annum and is expected to reach $93 billion during 2023. Sports betting makes up the majority share of the online gambling activities, around 40%. And the increase in betting has also led to the creation of betting ETFs. Example, the BETS ETF, which has a market capitalization of around $350 million and whose performance since inception has more than doubled the performance of the S&P 500. So now you can actually bet on an ETF whose underlying index or assets are sports betting companies. Okay, let's consider the future of sports betting. Very briefly, I think, because the sports betting industry is now firmly entrenched and it's growing by the day. Actually, it's been growing for the last over 2,000 years. So there's no reason to believe that this will change in the future. No, it's here to stay. And in fact, it's growing and growing and growing. The internet and the smartphones continue to fuel the growth of sports betting. And you once had to make bets face to face with a person at a betting window. So you had to get up, go out, go to the betting shop, stand in line, decide what you're going to bet on, and then go back to collect your money if your bet wins. Now you can still do that if you want to, or call or text your local bookie or log into an online sports book to place bets. Like we said, you can now sit and place a bet in the next 2 minutes on your couch. Online sports betting sites are now even offering in-progress betting, that is live betting. We've mentioned this before, that allow gamblers to bet in real time from the start of the game to the final whistle. So you can actually bet before the game, you can bet during the game. It's unfortunate that you're not allowed to bet after the game. I'm sure we'd all be very rich if they allowed that. Now, we've mentioned that betting companies are now involved in sponsoring sports. And the last decade has seen an increase in the number of gambling companies enter the sports sponsorship market, especially football. Sports sponsorship is a very popular and profitable brand awareness strategy. Betting companies can put themselves in front of millions of sports fans at the stadium and on TV and across the globe. This is very good for business and exposure. And at the same time, the sports teams and the sports events make millions through the sponsorship deals. So it's an excellent business arrangement for both sides of the equation. So let's look at some betting companies who are involved in sports sponsorship. Bwin Interactive Entertainment, an Austrian company, um, involved in sponsoring Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man United, Borussia Dortmund. They even sponsored the Portuguese League Cup, which was renamed the Bwin Cup. They are also involved or were with the International Basketball Association, motorsports and poker events. Bet365, a UK company, was sponsoring 10 teams in La Liga, including RCD Espanyol, Villarreal, Real Betis. And in the English Football League, they were involved with Leicester City, Newcastle, West Brom, Wolverhampton, Stoke City. Betfair was involved in sponsoring a whole host of UK football teams. Betway UK involved with West Ham, Leicester City, Tottenham Hotspur, and also involved in horse racing, cricket, snooker, esports, the NHL, and the NBA. And by the way, these are just some of the teams that I picked up. There are a lot more betting companies involved in sponsoring teams in a whole range of sports across the world. Now let's look at some sports stars who are also involved in promoting gaming brands. Conor McGregor, the MMA champion, mixed martial arts champion, was the brand ambassador for Parry Match, and previously he was with BetSafe. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, football star, was the brand ambassador for BetHard, and he's also a co-owner of that betting company. Cristiano Ronaldo, in 2015, he was the brand ambassador for PokerStars, the world's largest online poker brand. Mike Tyson was the brand ambassador in 2019 for Parry Match, like Conor McGregor, and in 2015 he entered into a 15-year sponsorship deal with Inspired Gaming as their brand ambassador. Shane Warne, cricketer, ex-Australian cricket captain. In 2019, he signed a 5-year deal with Defabet, a well-known sportsbook and online casino. And like any other big industry, sports betting also have conferences. There are a number of conferences which are, highly attended by people in that industry. Give you an example of two. You have the SBC Summit, Betting on Sports Europe, which will be held this year in November at Stamford Bridge in London, and the topic is Shaping the Future of Sports Betting in Europe. And SBC, I think, stands for Sports Betting Community. Another betting conference will be held by SBC in North America, again in November, in the Meadowlands Exposition Center in New Jersey. And these, if you go onto their websites, there are thousands of attendees, there are hundreds of speakers, exhibitors, everything to do with the industry. So these are fairly big conferences. And what are some large sports betting companies? Triple Eight Holdings, GVC Holdings, Kindred Group, Paddy Power Betfair, William Hill, that's probably one of the most well-known brands, Bet365, the Stars Group, DraftKings, again very well known, Betson, Bet America, and many, many others. A lot of these operate under different brand names, as we shall see. Let's have a quick look at 888 Holdings PLC. So it was incorporated in 1997. This is just to show you their size. Headquartered in Gibraltar. It's a public company and it's listed on the London Stock Exchange. And it's a FTSE 250 company. Last year, 2020, their revenues were around $850 million US. It employs over 1,300 people, and its brands include 888 Casino, 888 Poker, 888 Sport, and it's got various bingo brands. So you can see it's a very, very big company, and this is just one of the companies that I picked up. It's actually nowhere near the biggest. So we've come to the end of this presentation, and I just want to reinforce what I said at the start of the presentation, that betting on sports is gambling and it really should be avoided. This episode is part of my series on sports finances, as sports betting is now part of the sports industry and cannot be ignored by the student of sports finances. This video is for education purposes only, and I repeat that I am not in any way advocating or promoting betting on sports or any form of betting at all. Betting is gambling and can lead to financial ruin and is therefore to be avoided. And my personal advice is to stay away from betting and gambling of any kind. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show and learned something. I certainly learned a bit as well while I was putting the material together. So till next time, all the best, take care, and this is Faisal signing out.